Hello and welcome to Video Lesson 4. In this section, we will focus on communication and trust building techniques. This lesson is part of the course sequence and it's built on the idea we have already discussed about relationship, interaction, and inclusion. Before we start, I would like you to keep one simple idea in mind. Trust is not something that appears automatically. Trust is built through communication. How we speak, how we listen, and how we respond to others has a strong impact on whether trust grows or disappears. And we may ask why communication matters. Communication is something we all do every day. We communicate with friends, with family, with classmates, college, and people in our community. Because communication feels natural, we often assume that we are already good at it. However, misunderstanding, conflicts, and feeling of exclusion often comes from communication problems, not only for bad intention. Communication is not about exchanging information, it's also about how people feel during an interaction, whether they feel respect or whether they feel safe to express themselves. This is why communication play a central role in trust building. And what do we mean by trust? Trust is closely linked to feeling safe, heard, and respect. When trust is present, people are more open, more participant, and people are more willing to share ideas or concerns. But when trust is missing, people stay silent, avoid conflict, interest or instead of addressing it, and misunderstand increase. Trust that not depends only on what we say, but very much on how we communicate it. The focus of this video lesson is it's explore different communication techniques that help to build trust. We will look at how communication can either strengthen or whether trust, why communication is important, why communication is important, but also listening it's as important as the speaking, how small changes it's in communication can have a big impact. Later in this video lesson, we will focus on active listening as a concrete and practical trust building tool. And you will have the opportunity to reflect on your own communication habits through an individual activity. So as we move forward, I invite you to listen not only to understand the concept, but also to reflect on your own experience. Think about moments when communication helped you through something or moments when it did not. With this in mind, let's begin by exploring the relationship between communication and trust in more detail. First of all, I'm gonna explain you the learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will have developed a comprehensible understanding of how communication shapes trust in professional environments. You'll gain practice insights into building strong working relationships through intentional communication practice. The four objectives are understanding the relationships, identify key techniques, recognize barriers, and practice active listening. The first objective, understanding the relationship, is focused on explore how communication and trust are fundamentally interconnected in professional settings. The second objective, identify key techniques, it's focused on discover a specific communication approach that build and strengthen trust. The third objective, recognizing barriers, it helps you to learn to spot common communication obstacles that undermine trust. And finally, practice active listening. It's develop foundational skills in active listening as the core trust building tool. These are the objectives we are gonna learn in this video lesson, and I hope you enjoy it. The first thing we must learn in this video lesson is understanding why trust matters in professional context. Trust forms the bedrock of high-performing teams on an organization. Without it, even the most talented group struggle to achieve their potential. When trust is present, teams operate with greater efficiency, creativity, and resilience. For this, we have four important things: effective collaboration, enhanced cooperation, reduce conflict, and create engagement. It's important because it creates effective collaboration. Trust in place shameless teamwork and shape responsibilities. It encourages cooperation, team members willing support one another's success. It reduces conflicts, meaning misunderstanding decreases when trust is established. And finally, it's a greater engagement. People participate more fully when they feel trusted. These are some of the important things of have trust in professional context. We are gonna build more information in the next slides. Now that we know the importance of trust, you may ask, what do we mean by trust? Trust in professional context extends beyond simple reliability. It encompasses a psychological and emotional dimension that profoundly affect how people interact, collaborate, and perform. Understanding what trust truly means helps us recognize it and build it intentionally. Let's have three important facts in trust. The first one is psychological safety, feeling secure enough to express concerns and ideas and even vulnerabilities without fear of the ridicule. The second one is faith in fairness, believing that others will listen with an open mind and act with integrity and fairness in their response. And finally, be willing consistency. Experience responsibly predictable behaviors that align with the state's values and communication. These are the three parts of what we mean by trust. Now that we know the importance of trust and what it is, we need to understand that trust is built through communication. Trust doesn't emerge spontaneously or by chance. It's developed gradually through consistent, intentional interaction over time. Communication serves as the primary mechanism through which trust is strengthened or eroded. Every conversation, email, and meeting represent an opportunity to reinforce trust. The quality and consistency of this interaction shape the relation fundamentals upon which effective teamwork depends. Are four important things we need to have in mind. The first is trust doesn't appear automatically; it requires deliberate cultivation and attention. The second one is built through repeat interaction. Each exchange contributes to the trust foundation, not just one. We have multiple interaction, and all of them are important, and we have to focus in all of them and make it trust in all of them. For this, communication plays a central role. How we communicate determines trust outcomes. Our communication it's not just important, it's essential and shapes professional relationships. Communication patterns define the relationship qualities. Now that we know the importance of communication, we must understand communication goes beyond information. Communication in professional settings serves purpose far beyond the simple transmission of data or instruction. Understanding these multiple dimensions help us to communicate more effectively and build strong relationships. For this, we may understand why communication is not only about transmit information, like sharing facts, data, and content, or giving instruction, direction takes, or activities. Communication is also about relationships, emotion, and power and recognition. When we talk about relationships, they are building and maintain connections. And emotion is the acknowledge and validating feelings of it. And power and recognition, establishing respect and values is essential for the communication works. Um, I think the more important part in this is that um, communication is a multi-dimensional thing. So it's not only about what we say and what we want to communicate it. It's also about how we communicate and how we say it. Okay. Now that we know what communication is, we need to understand how communication affects trust. And the way we communicate directly influence whether trust grows or diminishes. Certain communication qualities consistently build trust, while a poor communication practice can quickly undermine even well-established relationships. And trust-building communication it's about clear, respectful, consistent, and inclusive. These are the four things that must be in the trust communication. It must be clear because the messages are understandable and ambiguous. The second one, it must be respectful. The dignity and consistency are maintained. Must be consistent, replying and predictive over time, and must be inclusive. Everyone's voice is valued and heard. These are the four things that we have to think when we are communicating something. It's important that all of these are in the message and how we transmit it. Poor communication can damage trust very quickly, often require significant efforts to rebuild it what we lost. So it's important that our communication are based in clear, respectful, consistent, and inclusive because if we lose it, it's very complicated to rebuild it. There are a couple of common communication barriers. Recognizing behaviors that undermine trust is essential for avoid them. Thus, common communication barriers appear frequently in professional settings and can quickly erode the trust that teams have worked hard to build. Interruptions, assumptions, lack of attention, defensive response, or dismiss emotion. When we're talking about interruption, it's about cutting people of assignment, dismiss, and uh, dismissing their contribution before it's fully expressed. Making assumptions, it's jumping to conclusion without seeking clearly create a misunderstanding and resenting. The lack of attention it's about dividing attention during conversation, communicating that the speaker isn't valued or important. When we speak about defensive response, are reacting rapidly, shut down dialogues, and prevent genuine understanding and development. Dismissing emotion are ignoring or minimizing the feelings, invalidating people's experience, and damage psychological safety. Now we can explain psychological safety and what this influence in trust. Psychological safety represents a crucial dimension of workplace trust. When people feel psychologically safe, they contribute more freely, take appropriate risks, and help teams evolve and improve. Communication patterns directly determine whether psychological safe exists. Leaders and team members alike must considerably cultivate environment when people feel secure speaking up. To have a psychological safe space, we may have in mind that everyone feels safe to speak, and they don't have not fearing of the consequences, and they are able to express doubts and mistakes. Um, Feeling safe and to speak is when people can have a voice when in opinions, questions, and concerns without hesitate. Not fearing consequences, that it's not punishment or ridicule follow honest communications. And expressing doubts and mistakes, and certainly an error can be shaped openly for collaborative learning. This is important because when we create a psychological safe space, the trust is more fluid and we can build it more equally. For understanding better communication, we're gonna work in some trust building communication techniques. Effective trust building communication isn't mysterious or complicated. It rests on a foundation of learnable techniques that everyone can develop with practice and intention. These approaches work across cultures and contexts. These are five techniques: active listening, empathy, clarity, respectful feedback, and openness. The first one is active listening. Fully focus on understanding the speaker's message and the meaning of it. The second one is empathy, connecting with others' perspective and acknowledging their experience. The third one is clarity, expressing ideas precisely and transparently without ambiguity. The fourth one is respectful feedback, offering observation and suggestion in contributive, dignity-preserving ways. And finally, the fifth is openness, maintaining approachable and willingness to engage in dialogue. These are five of trust-building communication techniques. These are like something we can learn and we are gonna practice it next. And these are the five principal ones, and now we are gonna learn it. The first technique is active listening. For me, it's one of the most important ones, and it's very important to know. Among all trust-building communication techniques, active listening stands out as particularly powerful and fundamental. It transforms communication from a transaction into a genuine engage that strains relationship. Active listening demonstrates respect, reduces misunderstanding, and creates space for deeper understanding. When people feel truly heard, they reproduce it with trust and opening. For this, we may focus on understanding, show respect, and reduce misunderstanding. When we focus on understanding, we prioritize comprehension over response. It's important that we understand what the other person is saying to us instead of just trying to make the right response. We may show respect, communicate values and attention. When we uh, respect the other, it make us show some values that the other can like and more, and it makes feeling attention in what they are saying. Reduce misunderstanding is ensure an accurate message reception. It's when someone is explaining something to us, we maybe misunderstand it. So we have to make sure that we understand the right thing or what they are talking to us. For this, active listening is one of the most effective trust building tools available for professionals. The second technique that we are gonna learn is empathy in communication. Empathy in professional communication involves more than sympathy or agreement. It requires genuinely attempting to understand another person's perspective, feelings, and experience without immediately judge or problem solving. When we communicate empathically, we value others' experience and create deepened connection. This doesn't mean abounding our own perspective, but rather expanding our understanding to include others' viewpoints. It's not changing our vision, it's understand the other person vision. It's three important things in this that it's understanding perspective, acknowledge feeling, and communication without judgment. To understanding perspective, it's making genuine effort to see situations through other side and appreciating their viewpoint. It's like empathy said, put it in see the world beyond the eyes of the other one. Acknowledge feeling, recognizing and validating emotional experience without diminishing and minimize them. It's understand the emotion of the other without making feel less important or uh, making our point or explaining some of our experience. It's only mm, focus on the emotion of the other and make them feel seen. Communication without judgment, suspending evaluation and criticism to create space for authentic expression. It makes feel the other one safe to express their feelings and how it feels, knowing that we are not gonna judge them. It's for this that empathy strains through and create meaningful functional connection that enhance collaboration. The third technique is clarity and transparency. Our message must be clear, honest, and transparent. When we speak about a clear message, it's one that are expressed in strengthful, fullness, understanding language that leaves little room for confusion. It must be honest when the information is truthful and complete, even when the truth is uncomfortable and challenging. And it must be transparent. The processes, decision, and reasoning are openly shared and accessible to those affected. Trust flourish in environments characteristic by clear, honest, and transparent communication. When people understand what's happening and why, they feel respected and included. Conversely, unclear and ambiguous message breeds suspicion and mistrust. People fill information gaps with assumptions after negative ones that damage relationship and teamwork cohesion. It's important that what we say it's clear, honest, and transparent. It make our environment more secure, and this security make us feel more safe to express. The next technique is respectful feedback. Feedback represents one of the most sensitive commitment moments in professional context. How feedback is delivered determines whether it's built or damage trust. Respectful feedback strengthens relationships while it's promoting growth and improvement. It's important these three parts. The feedback must be specific, focus on concrete behavior and situation rather than punish generation that leave people confused. It must be constructive, offer patterns for improving and development rather than mere critics or without solution. And the last of them must be behavior focused. Address action on their impact, not personal characteristic or perspective intention. The way feedback is communicated matter as much as the content. We must be focused on the tone, the timing, and the approach because it must be affect profoundly to how feedback is received by the person. The last technique is consistency in communication. Consistency creates the predictability that allows trust to develop and deepen. What communications patterns remain reliable over time, people feel secure and can invest more fully in relationship. Inconsistency, behave, word, and action, or unpredictable communication patterns quickly erode the trust. People become cautious and guarded when they cannot rely on consistency. For this, we have three things to make focus on. The first is words and action match. What it says must be aligned with what is done, creating integrity and creativity in all interaction. The second one is communication unpredictable. People can anticipate communication patterns and rely on stabilized norms and practices. And the last one is exceptions are clear. Standards and requesting are explainedly stated and considerably maintained over time. As we say in the first part, active listening is the core technique of trust. Among the various trust building communication techniques, active listening occupies a foundational point. It isn't merely one technique among the many, it enables and enhances all the others. In this, we may be focused on empathy, respect, and clarity. When we speak about empathy, we mean to understanding feelings and perspective. Clarity is the same as confirm messages and avoid assumption. And finally, respect. It's important to honor views and show constancy. Active listening supports empathy by helping us generally understanding others' perspective. It enhances clarity by assuming we comprehend message accurately, and it demonstrating respect through the action and focus we bring to conversation. And finally, developing active listening skill therefore amplifies the effectiveness of every other trust building techniques. Now that we know how important active listening is, we may ask what is active listening. Active listening differs fundamentally from practice hearing. It involves intentional, focused engagement with both the content and the emotion of what someone is communicating, and the goal is deep understanding, nor merely waiting for your turn to speak. This approach requires setting aside your own agenda temporarily to fully enter the speaker's world. It demands concentration, patience, and genuine curiosity about the other person's perspective and experience. Um, it's three important points: the paying fully attention, understanding the meaning and emotions, and responding to show understanding. The most important one is paying fully attention. We have to focus eliminating distractions and focusing completely on the speaker. We have to understand, so understanding meaning not only the meaning of the concept he is explaining to us, but also the emotion around the content. Wrapping both content and underlining feelings that are being expressed, it's important to understand all the message and responding to show understanding, demonstrating comprehensible through verbal and non-verbal cues. It's not only respond and have a good respond and that you are thinking about it, it's about demonstrating that you comprehend what the people is saying and you listen what he says. All of us made it, and it's important to recognize them. This is the common non-listening behaviors that many people do. Many people believe they're listening when they actually engage in quite different mental activities. Recognizing these not listening behaviors help us to avoid them and develop genuine active listening skills. These patterns feel like listening but actually prevent really understanding and damage the trust over time. They sign the speaker that we are not fully intended in understanding their perspective. Some of these common non-listening behaviors are reply quickly, formulating responses willing the person is still speaking or missing information, nonsense on details. Give advice, immediately jumping to solution without fully understanding the situation or whether advice is wanted or not. The third one is solve problems immediately, rushing to fix things before completely comprehending the issue on its context. And finally, defend their position, preparing counterarguments and justification rather than seeks to understand the other perspective. This behavior can simply reduce the trust because they communicate that our agenda matters more than the understanding of the speaker. And one of the more important things of listening is make the other person feel listen. So it's important to keep apart these behaviors and focusing in the conversation. Now we are going to give three active listening tools that can help you, and we are going to explain it more later, but these are the important ones. Active listening become more accessible and practical when you have specific techniques to employ. These three tools can be learned and practiced immediately, transforming the quality of professional conversation and building trust with every interaction. There are three. The first one is paraphrasing, the second one is open-ended question, and the third one emotional knowledge. When we're talking about paraphrasing, we're restraining what you hear and you in your own words to confirm understanding. One example of this is when you say, "So what I am hearing is that the deadline feels unrealistic given the current team capacity. Is that right?" It's one example that we can use when we are paraphrasing. The other tool is open-ended questions, asking questions that invite elaborate rather than simple yes and no questions. One example can be, can you tell me more about your concerns you most about this approach? It's focusing in what the other person feels and not just saying you feel sad or you feel the deadline is unrealistic. It's open the question. And the last one is emotional knowledge, recognizing and validating the feelings present in the conversation. For example, I can see this situation has been really frustrating for you and your team. It's make the other person know that you understand and can express the feelings he is feeling. Practice this tool considerably will strengthen your active listening capacity and significantly enhance trust in your professional relationships. Now we're gonna focus on the first tool, paraphrasing. This is a powerful active listening technique that demonstrates genuine understanding. It involves gathering what the speaker has said using your own words, effectively checking what your grasp the message correctly. This tool shows respect for the speaker's perspective while it's giving them an opportunity to clarify if it's necessary. The technique is listening carefully to the speaker words, then reflect back the essence of their message in your own language. This isn't about repeating verbally. It's about capturing the core meaning and checking your understanding. Okay. One example that you can use is, so what you're saying is that this simple phrase opened the door to deepen understanding. Follow it with your interpretation of this message. Allow them to confirm or correct your understanding. For the next tool that is open-ending question, you can use these three. The first one is encourage explanation. Open-ended questions invite the speaker to share more details, moving beyond surface levels and responsive the meaningful dialogue. The second thing that do is invite reflection. This question creates space for the speaker to express their own thoughts and feelings, leading to deeper insights. And finally, it makes you avoid the yes and no questions. Questions that can be answered by a simple yes or no keep the conversation flowing and uncover rich information. For practicing, you can say, "Can you tell me more about this?" This versatile question demonstrates genuine interest and engagement the speaker to expand on their thoughts. Other effective open-ended question can be, "What's your perspective on," or "How did this situation affect you?" This is some examples that you can use. And finally, the last tool is emotional knowledge. Emotional knowledge is the art of recognizing and validating someone's feeling without judgment. This sophisticated listening tool involves identifying the emotion behind the words and naming them respectfully. When we acknowledge emotion, we create psychological safety and demonstrate that we truly see the person and just not hear the word, and not just hear the words. For this, we might recognize emotion because we have to pay attention to both verbal and non-verbal cues to reveal how someone is feeling. For this, it's important to focus on the tone of voice, the body language, and the word choir. All of these provide a values emotional information. And naming feelings without judgment. When you identify an emotion, name it clearly and neutrally, avoiding minimizing, like "it's not that bad," or amplifying, like saying "you must be devastated." Simply acknowledge what you observe. One example of this is, "That sounds frustrating." This simple statement values the speaker experience without trying to fix it, judge it, or make it about you. It shows you're fully present and attuned to the emotional state of the person. Now that we are been talking about active listening, we may need to understand what active listening is not. Understanding what an active listening excluded, it's just an important and know it what is included. Many people confuse active listening with argument, problem solving, or advice giving. However, these approaches can actually hinder genuine understanding and connection. Active listening focuses on understanding first, responding second. It's about creating space for the other person to fully hear before any action is taken. Um, Three common areas are not agreeing with everything. You can fully understand someone's perspective without agreeing with it. Active listening seeks comprehensible, not consensual, and not giving active immediately. Jumping to solution before fully understanding the situation often misses the mark and can make people feel unheard. And finally, not solving the problem right away. Sometimes people need to process their thoughts aloud, not receive immediate solution. Understanding common first, actions follow. This is important to this last phrase because we must understand what the people is feeling for, if it's necessary, make a solution, but not give the solution first that listen the person. Now we are going to explain a mini activity of practicing active listening. This is an individual and asynchronic activity designed to help you reflect on your own communication patterns and practice active listening tools in safe, low pressure environments. First is the individual practice. Work through this activity in your own pace, giving your time to reflect honestly on your communication habits. The second of this activity is anachronic format. Complete the activity when it suits you, allowing to thoughtful, convenient to each step. What you'll do in this activity? You will reflect your own communication patterns and practice applying the three active listening tools. You just learn paraphrasing, open-ended question, and emotional acknowledge. Have a notebook or a digital document ready to record your thoughts and responses. The first step of this activity is recall a situation. By bringing to mind a recent professional conversation that presides a communication challenge. This reflection exercise works best when you choose a real situation that still feels somehow vivid in your memory. This can be someone sharing a canon, perhaps a colleague approached you about a workplace issue, a team member expressed worries about a project deadline, or someone voiced anxiety about a change. Or maybe other option is someone expressed frustration. Think of a moment when colleague, team member, or stakeholder communication dissatisfaction, disappointment, or irritation about a situation or decision that it's been made. Um, or when there was a disagreement. Recall a conversation when perspectives differed, opinions clashed, or there was tension about the best way forward on one project of the stage. A tip for this is choose a situation that feels somehow unconformative and challenging at the time. These moments often to richer learning opportunities for improving your active listening skills. For this, it's important that it's a personal situation when you feel some of these memories and work with this situation, not an example that I can make. The next step is observe your usual reaction. Now that you're recalling a specific situation, take an honest look on your initial response. These steps require self-knowledge and a willingness to express your habits commonly pattern without judgment. Most of us failing to predict patterns when faced with challenging conversation. Common first instinct is giving advice or interrupting or minimizing the issue or trying to fix the problem. When we give advice, we are jumping in just in with suggestion or solution before fully understand the situation. We can change that. When we interrupting, we're cutting the speaker off to share our own perspective or similar experience. Maybe it's not required, or maybe this person don't ask for this. Other common mistake can be minimizing the issue. Downplaying the con nerd with phrases like "it's not that bad" or "you're overreacting," it can make feel the person that their feelings are not being appreciated or not you're not fully commit or know about their feelings. And finally, another error can be trying to fix the problem. When we immediately propose an active step without exploring the full context. Maybe for trying to do it our best, we immediately propose an action that can fix the problem, but maybe we are not fully understanding the complexity of the context. In this, we can make a reflection proper. With this reaction, most clearly matches your typical response. Write down what you actually say or thought in that moment. Be specific and honest. It's for yourself, so it's not gonna be tested or anything. The next step is apply active listening tools. Now it's time to reimagine that conversation using the three active listening tools. Create an alternative response that prioritize understanding over action. This exercise helps you to develop now new communication patterns that build trust and communication. The first tool that we'll learn is paraphrasing. So try to write one paraphrased sentence. Begin with restating what the person say in your own word, like so what you're saying is, or it sounds like you're experiencing. Trying to recreate this with this sentence to initiate the first. And the second tool is one open ending question. Follow with a question that invite deeper explanation, like, can you tell me more about that? Or what has been the most challenging aspect? And the last one, it's emotional acknowledge. Name the feeling you're observing, like that sounds frustrating, or it seems why they feel concerned about that. Remember, focus on knowledge, not fixing. Your goal is fully comprehend the person's perspective and emotional experience before moving through solutions. Now that you have your own activity and situation created, we are gonna make a couple of reflection questions about active listening. Take a few moments to reflect on the active listening response you just create. This question will help you identifying patterns and recognize growing areas and understanding which tools come naturally to you and which require more practice. The first question is how did this response differ from your usual one? Consistent tone, intent, and likely outcomes of your remaining response compared to your typical reaction. What shifts do you notice? It's how the conversation might have unfolded. The second question is which tool feels easier? Identify which of these three active listening tools, like paraphrasing, open-ended question, and emotional acknowledge, came more naturally to you, and this is a strength you can build upon. And finally, which tool feels more difficult? Recognize which tool challenged you. This unknownness helps you focus your practice where it's more needed. Difficulty often identifies an area with significant potential to grow. This question helps you to understand where are you more valuable on, or know with tools you can use right away and it's more natural to you to use. Focus and make more effort in the tools that are more difficult, and knowing this can make it easy, and how your response might change. Knowing these tools can help you to understand the situation differently. So now you know how you have to respond and change your response from the before actions you took. Communication, trust, and daily practice. The last one is important. You must practice to make it perfect. Building trust through communication it's not one-time event. It's a continuous practice into the fabric of daily workplace interaction. Each conversation is an opportunity to strengthen relationship, deepen understanding, and create a culture of psychological safety. For be better in trust-building communication, you must know that it requires practice. Like any skill, active listening improves with consistent, intentional use over time. And it's important to know that happens in everyday interaction. Isn't built in grand gestures, but in small ones. Consistent moment and genuine connections. And the last one is improves professional relationship over time. The cumulative effect of better listening creates stronger, more relatable working relationships. And more important of all this, you can apply it to all your life situation. For this, I gonna give you an advice. First, start small. Begin by applying one active tool. In a simple conversation each day. As it becomes more naturally, gradually expand your practice. Don't try to do it all at first because it's gonna be or feel natural for you. Notice progress. Pay attention to how conversations shift when you listen actively. You'll likely notice people open up more and relations are deeper. So start small and make focus on what progress you notice. This is the most important thing. Practice and use it in your everyday basis. Now we're gonna explain these three keys. First of them is trust is built through communication. Every interaction is an opportunity to strengthen and awareness trust. The quality of your communication directly impacts the strength of your professional relationship. It's important of this that you know that communication it's like we say before something that happens every day and can influence in the trust. So you may have it on your mind all the time and practice it and be better on it. The second one is listening is the center to trust building. Active listening demonstrates respect, creates psychological safety, and shows genuine interest in others' perspective. Is the foundation of trust. For this is important, we practice our listening skills, like we said before. And finally, small changes can have a big impact. You don't need to transform your entire communication style overnight. Simply tools like paraphrasing, asking open questions, and acknowledge emotion can create a meaningful shift. As you move forward, remain that becoming a better listening is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself and as you practice these skills, and notice how even small improvements in your listening create positive ripples through your professional relationships. It's important that you're patient with yourself and practice all of this, but day by day, step by step, and not all at once. Finally, to closing, I gonna make an emphasis to effective communication is the build of trust. Trust strengthens collaboration, inclusion, and wellness at work. The active listening tools you're exploring today, like paraphrasing, open-ended question, and emotional knowledge, are practical techniques you can begin using immediately. Each time you choose the true listen, you're investing in a stronger relationship, more effective teamwork, and a healthier workplace culture. Your next step is choose one conversation today when you intentionally practice active listening. Notice what happens when you prioritize understanding over responding and observe how it feels, both for you and for the other person. And the reply effect. As you stronger your listening skills, you likely find the other mirror your behavior. And trust become contagious, create positive change, and change far beyond individual conversation. Finally, I want to thank you for engaging with this material. Your commitment to improve your communication skills contributed to create more inclusive, collaborative, and psychologically safe workplace for everyone. Thank you for being present in this lecture.